This video is entitled, Satan is Taking Over the World Right in Front of Christians. For centuries, Christians have been on high alert, warned to stay vigilant against the devil's schemes. Yet today, the very things they once feared, symbols of rebellion, sin, and chaos, are being openly embraced by the world. And it's happening right in front of Christians. But many don't seem to notice. Now, the Bible has warned us to be alert of the devil because he's roaring like a lion, seeking whom he might devour. If you look at 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8. And there are many things that in the past Christians were very careful of. Satanic symbols, sin and chaos and belief and many other aspects. But today, these things are in plain sight. And believers don't seem to notice. If anything, some of the believers are actively participating in what believers of previous generations actually did not want to have anything to do with. And yet today, these are openly being displayed. And some believers are even participating in them. Now, you see that the devil is actually taking over in plain sight. And believers are too distracted or too indifferent to notice that the devil is taking over the world in front of the Christians themselves, and they are doing nothing about it. They don't even seem to notice that the devil is actually taking over the world. Instead of believers rising and engaging in prayer and engaging in preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ, they are just moving about, running around from one end to the other, being concerned about their own affairs, earning a living, or trying to be like the world, trying to create a living for themselves and for the future, unconcerned that the devil is taking over the world. But this is a brief video where we are going to look at few signs that plainly show the devil is taking over the world in full view of believers, in plain sight of believers, and they don't even seem to notice. And then in the following video, we are going to look at a total of 7 signs. So let's begin with the first sign of the occult symbols. Now these occult symbols, like the pentagrams, inverted crosses, or references to the devil, which were outrightly rejected, people could not in the past openly talk about or even share or wear or associate with, are in plain sight today. Plastered across fashion lines, music videos, even in children's entertainment. Today, the devil is being used as part of entertainment. Now, it's important to understand that these are not just artistic choices. These symbols carry meaning. And in the past, believers were able to recognize them and shun them. But today, believers are actually consumers of these symbols. And many believers actually consume this content without a second thought. The devil is right in the open, taking over, with the eyes of believers wide open. The devil has even stopped hiding now. The second sign that is readily available, this is witchcraft and paganism. They've moved from being a taboo to a trend. We know that witchcraft is rightly condemned in the Bible. And in fact, in the Bible, anyone who practiced witchcraft, a Median, was actually stoned to death. Now today, believers don't seem to notice these things because now they are all over. These are seen as gateway to demonic influence. But now, witchcraft is trending and it's all over social media. From the tarot cards to spells, they are being marketed as empowerment. What was once secretive and feared is now being openly celebrated. Yet many believers are so desensitized that they don't seem to notice the spiritual danger that actually is roaming around, affecting them and especially affecting their children, until one day their child comes home and publicly declares that he is a devil worshipper. That's when they wake up. Some of the cartoons the children are watching are clearly satanic, and yet parents don't seem to care. They leave their children to be babysitted by the TV. And they don't know the content that their children are actually consuming. And they'll pay the price of rebellion when these children become teenagers. So today, believers are so desensitized of spiritual dangers of the occult, of Satan, that they don't even either notice or they don't even care it is one of those things. Indeed, the devil is taking over the world right in front of believers, and they don't seem to notice it, or they are too indifferent to notice it. The other thing that we have seen is the shift in issues of gender. For centuries, Christians' teaching were clear. Marriage was between a man and a woman. Any deviation was seen as against God's design, but now we are witnessing a complete reversal. Now, let's get back to something that was plain and simple and straightforward. When they asked of your gender, you just say it was either male or female. But today, there are different variations of gender. And in the past, it was very, very clear. Today, we are beginning to question where people are even openly saying God created them this way. But when they say God created them this way, they are talking about the same thing that God actually condemned, and in the Old Testament was even a death sentence. But today, they are justifying that God created them that way. The very fact that you have a particular desire for something does not mean that God created you that way. For example, God created a man for one woman, and yet men have a tendency for multiple and concurrent sexual partners. That doesn't mean that God created men as polygamous. God created man for one woman and woman for one man. So this is that has come in the church, that even in church we are becoming so open, so accepting, something that the Bible actually literally condemned. But today we are justifying what the Bible is against. Here's the reality. Many churches are either afraid to speak up or openly embrace ideologies that were once considered sinful. The devil has successfully twisted the narrative, turning what was once seen as rebellion against God into a cause of justice and equality. But at what spiritual cost? No wonder the believers of today are so cold, so insensitive, and so indifferent to the things of God. They have no passion for spiritual matters. Today, believers are afraid to open speak against things that are against the Bible, for fear of being ridiculed, for fear of being ostracized. But the Bible is very clear. If they hated Jesus, they also hate you. If you are ashamed of Jesus before men, Jesus will also be ashamed of you before his Father and his angels. It is time that believers stood up for whatever is wrong. If something is wrong, it doesn't matter who is supporting it, whether it is the big nation or whether it's the UN supporting it. If it is wrong, it is wrong. And if you'd want more teachings of this nature, subscribe to my channel so that every time I produce a video, you'll be able to be notified, and then you choose whether to watch it or not.